Hello, Keef Hal, my tribe. Ahlan wa marhaban. This is your show host Rags, and today I have with me, sharing the screen on to the other end, is Gauri Chadha, my dear friend who's a creative filmmaker. Gauri, welcome to One with Rags.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited and I really can't wait. This is a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, and we can't wait to know so much about filmmaking. Gauri, but let's tell our viewers, we actually have a twist to filmmaking. Now, my viewers know that our channel speaks so highly about sustainability and about how we can be environmentally responsible. And so hence, I had to talk to you about sustainable filmmaking and how filmmaking has this whole new ecosystem. Do you want to shed some light on this before I carry on with our questions?
Yes, I firstly think that it's such an important element that we're talking about today. I think many a times we don't really realize that sustainability can impact and integrate into the fields of work that we do. You know, sometimes we just think that, oh, it's just the environment and something that's further away from me. We don't necessarily think it's actually directly impacted by what we do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm really excited that we're able to shed some light on this.
Incredible. Okay, let's quickly begin with our questions. So Gauri, can you give us an introduction to the whole green filmmaking ecosystem and sustainability in film production?
Well, to start with, for those that don't know, there are many, many aspects in the process of filmmaking, many aspects. And there are many different roles that each individual plays that really pull the entire thing together. One cannot work without the other. And that collaborative nature of it is what is so beautiful. Sure. Many times I feel collectively we lose sight on the fact that, okay, are we being sustainable? And I think sustainability comes in two different aspects. One is the physical sustainability when we look at the environment and we look at those aspects within the process. But then I think there's also a social sustainability, especially when you look at, you know, within the field of documentary filmmaking, which is something I've spent a lot of time on, or really talking about stories where you go into certain communities. And, you know, what are you doing as a producer, as a director to enable that sustainability within that world? Instead of just coming in, doing your thing and walking out, you know, are we consciously leaving the environment the same way we found it? That's one of the biggest things. I've worked both, you know, in the likes of Bollywood, both also Hollywood productions. You know, I've lived across 5-6 different countries. I went to film school in the States and in the UK. So my bandwidth and spectrum of kind of seeing the culture, the set culture of filmmaking is quite vast in that regard. And I think this is probably something that spreads all the way around, you know, right from our catering, how much food is wasted. I see that both in film production and I'm an event planner. You know, it's a huge aspect that is there, but do we really notice it? Or what can we do to enable ourselves to notice?
Just look how I'm smiling always. And I have to tell you why. You just fit in this seat beautifully. I can't say, I'm so happy that you're here on the channel. And it's, thank you. Thanks, Gauri. Okay, our next question. So how has environmentalism reached the whole cinema industry to make it more sustainable and responsible towards our ecosystems and places, you know, from where they operate?
So I definitely think there is a global shift. And I think definitely now more so than ever with the current global situation, I think it's just made everybody appreciate things in a different light than perhaps we hadn't done so before. Yeah. And I think that really does come into play right from when you look at, okay, you know, your location manager, for example. Is your location manager actively being aware of sustainability? You know, we get to shoot in beautiful environments around the world at times, right? You are really in venues and locations that take your breath away. Do we go and do a shoot in a forest and is there litter left behind because we forgot to pick it up or that's not our priority? Do we really give respect to the environment that we are working within? I think that shift is definitely coming. You know, even aspects like the art department, what materials are we using? Are we using eco-friendly materials when we're building these elaborate sets? When we look at even just in terms of the camera department, you know, are we switching more to LED? What are we doing that's consuming less power?
Sure.
There are many stages within it, right? But
Right.
everybody has a role to play that can have such a massive impact.
Sure, sure, sure. What a beautiful answer, Gauri. Moving on to question number 3. So let's talk about a few tools that you recommend for sustainable filmmaking. I think this is the whole crux of our interview.
Definitely. First, it's a mindset. I think the number one tool that you need to have is a mindset. That how do I think about my process of filmmaking in a way that I have a bigger impact? Now, first, people who are in the world of filmmaking know that there is a responsibility that comes with the messages you talk about. All my films speak about very, I would say, very hard-hitting social topics that we don't really maybe necessarily want to go into initially, but we are curious to know more about it. That makes me spend time in situations and cultures that are, you know, maybe not as connected to the global world. For example, you know, I've spent a lot of time inside the Harvey, you know, just being with people, spending time with the grandmothers, having a cup of chai with them. I have spent a lot of time, I've done an entire film with specially able children where we consciously, as a production house, made a certain percentage of our crew specially able children. So not only were we making a film about specially able children,
incredible.
we made sure that there was at least two to three children who were in each department of our film. And we were so pleasantly amazed because their skill set brought on such a precision that we didn't even have. You know, whether it was right from cable bashing or right from helping an assistant director get an actor in position, we empowered and enabled us to work as a collaborative nature. So I think we always need to remind ourselves of the ripple effect that can occur.
Yes, yes.
And right from an environmental standpoint of, you know, where are you going? When you're going to go shoot somewhere, what is that environment left as? Is it how you found it or not? But I think it really is just that mind shift. For example, I'm writing a film about surrogacy. I spent about 3 weeks inside the small villages of Gujarat, meeting these incredible families and women and learning about their stories. But how do I just take that information and use it for my need of the film? Or do I actually spend time with them and impact one another, learn from one another, and actually let them see the journey of the film? I had a film that I traveled the world with that won about 14, 15 awards, 25 nominations. It was about the emotional impact of terrorism. And what does that do to people from an emotional standpoint? Nothing to do with anything political. I made the film and I took back the film, it's called Gava, to each single witness, and it connected them. Suddenly there were other witnesses that were sharing the same feelings that they were over a series of 3 different attacks that had occurred. And how did that unite people? How did that make people feel connected? So I think sustainability is not just the fact of picking up a piece of litter, which is the literal meaning and extremely important. There is a greater aspect to our responsibility as filmmakers.
Sure, it's much more deeper and it's much more intense than what it just is at the base of it all.
Yes.
Gauri, very, very beautifully answered.
Sorry, just to add one thing there.
Sure, go ahead.
So a lot of the work I do is, in all of my films, I have children. I absolutely love to direct children. It is I adore it because there's such a truth and such a, there's such an honesty and it's
they're
such
so innocent also, right?
Exactly. And that is something as well, you know, that when you are working with different age brackets on a picture, like how are you respecting that? Yes, there are legal laws in place to say there's a certain number of hours and they have to have a chaperone, but how are you impacting their mind? About a week ago, the little girl that was in my film Gava, she traveled all over the world. She contacted me on Instagram and she said, you know, now I'm 14 years old. Can I see the film? And I still said, I'm sorry, not yet. Because that's my social responsibility to her, right? That she's not it's not something that is accustomed to her age bracket yet. So I think it comes in different ways.
I think by now my viewers already know why you are sitting there. Lady, way to go. Keep going. Question
Thank
number
you.
5 now. What are the 5 stages of filmmaking? I was reading about this, but I want you to quickly put this in
Sure.
bullet points for our viewers.
Sure. So I would describe filmmaking split into 3 different sections, actually, not 5. So it starts in 3 different aspects. One is pre-production, production, and post-production.
Sure.
Pre-production starts with the entire script. So how does it start? I have an idea. I want to make a film. Okay, so I need to put it down into a script. A script is our absolute backbone. Everything and anything is on the basis of a script, right? From budgeting, right from, what an actor is going to be talking about, right from costume design, art production, lighting, camera, everything is off the basis of a script. Then you begin the pre-production process. That how am I going to make this film? That entails everything from getting the entire crew on board, locations, storyboarding. The more you do in pre-production, the smoother your shoot is going to be. And many times people think that, okay, I'll just pick up the camera. Yes, you can if that's a bit more of a documentary style. But even documentaries, there has to be a tremendous amount of pre-production that's going to enable your production to run smoother. Many people, I feel, my personal thing, especially towards the younger youth, I would say that is the most important thing. Pay attention and give into your pre-production. You then move on to production, which is the actual shooting of the film, which runs through a sked. Now, you would never shoot the film in chronological order of the script. So it's always broken down between day and night.
Sure.
And depending on availability of actors, you would, for example, one day you
and
would,
the locations and those kind of stuff.
Exactly. So that's where continuity comes in, where we have somebody who only focuses on script continuity. That if on day 1 of the schedule, we shot scene 3, and it's day 15, the character needs to be in the same outfit where they're using their right hand or their left hand. So all those bloopers that all you people see, there's actually somebody there behind there watching.
Yeah.
And then you move into
I can't stop laughing because I know exactly what you're saying. And this even happens when we're doing interviews, actually.
Yeah.
You would be, Gauri,
Yeah.
Whole schedule that you spoke about just got me smiling. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, darling.
Yes, and then you have post-production, which is putting the entire film together in an editing process, right from adding in music, sound, Foley, a whole bunch of different things that package it.
Sure.
And also, what is your publicity line, right? How is this film going to get out? It's very good to make the film, but it needs to get out. Are you going through the festivals? How are you getting publicity on it? What is the, what is the advertising that you're looking at? What is not? Are you looking at going on a VOD platform? What is it that you're looking at? But in a crux, in a very, very overview, that's kind of what it's about. But I always say it differs. So documentary filmmaking has a different path where I personally say you make the film 3 times over. You make it in pre-production, you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm making. Then you go into production, you're like, this is actually the film I'm making. And then you go into your edit and you realize that you've just created a whole new story. You really need to be flexible and take the most out of each aspect.
Right. Gauri, I just want to tell you, I know my production is going to be watching this, and so this always happens. They would call me like, stick to the bullet points. Now I'm going to cut this. Now I'm going to cut this. I'm like, oh my God, but I look best in that shot. Doesn't matter. It goes in the bin. So I know exactly what you're saying. Oh God, I'm pink. Okay, question 5. What, according to you, makes a film successful these days? Again, a very important question.
So, today, especially now with what's going on, viewership is at its highest, right? So I think there's so many more possibilities of actually getting your film out there than they were before. We are globally as a community are more interconnected. There's greater globalization. There's so many more incredible opportunities. A film will always get its success if it is being true to itself. It doesn't matter if it's today, if it was 100 years ago, if it's 200 years, it doesn't matter. For me, this is always my philosophy. If you have a story to tell, be truthful to that story. Let the script actually be real and be truthful to what the world is around it, and stick by it, because filmmaking is not an easy process.
Right.
It's not something to say.
And who better to say this than you, Gauri, because you come from a hardcore filmmaking background. So you know your stuff well. So viewers, you must know no one better than her to tell you all this. So please listen to what she has to say. Go on.
So it really is about being truthful. If you're going to make an honest piece of work that has an honest vision behind it and you stick by it, it will.
Right.
I never thought that my first film would do what it did. It got me, you know, a lot of press in terms of moving me up as the start of my career. It picked up a lot of awards for where it needed to be, but more importantly, it was a story from straight from my heart and my soul that we put out there. You know, press didn't come running to me. I chased the press. I used to sit, I remember, you know, I won Best Producer at Beverly Hills, and I would just wait outside to see who the journalists were with my press kit ready in my hands, every bit of information, and I'd say, hi, this is me. We're the co-producers of this film. Please write about us. This is what we're doing. We're trying to create this. It's not going to come to you. You have to go out and get it. And that's the fundamental. So when you say success, it really is what you make of it. I believe that, right, in terms of film, right, to what I'm doing in my event company now. You know, we're doing virtual events. We pivoted our business, and Touchwood is moving so well. We're
so happy for you.
amazed.
I'm so happy for you. Well deserving. It should go to the right people. And I'm so happy that you spoke with such passion when you said that you have to go out there. This is exactly what we want to tell the youth, Gauri, isn't it? This is what we spoke over the telephone.
Yes. It's really, really important. I think many people, especially, you know, just making the film is a start.
Correct.
That's the start of it.
Correct.
You know, that, I mean, I can't say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely agree. So I want to also, you know, share something with my viewers. It's literally, you know, if you can just say, it's like rags. So I have to come to you with good content. Only then you all are going to watch me, isn't it? So this is exactly what Gauri is telling us. Also, Gauri, use this podium to talk about this lovely work that you've been doing, you know, during the whole lockdown period. You and I spoke about it, but I think it's time we tell everyone watching us.
Definitely. So obviously this lockdown has brought about different experiences for each one of us, right?
Sure.
I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer, director, but I'm also an event planner. I run my own business with my husband called The Big Nights. And I'm also an actress and improviser. My whole world is about storytelling and the arts. And going through this experience, I felt very isolated, where I wasn't able to really reach out. I'm part of a local theater. I usually perform, you know, throughout the week. And suddenly there was no connection. We started saying to ourselves that we need to bring some joy. Like, we need to still be able to create. And we started pivoting towards virtual events. Our events are not just, they're very, very integrated with film and cinema and theater. It's very much of a cinematic theatrical experience. And we did our first Gatsby theme event for a client that we've never met them. They're sitting in India, we're sitting in Dubai. And it was a great success. And we took them through this whole world of storytelling. And that's where we started to understand that you are what you create it to be.
Correct.
Right? If we were going to sit here right now and say, oh, you know, it's not working, nothing's happening. But I have an option. Either I can get up and create something, and we've been learning so much. You know, I'm back to writing again. I'm back to writing my script about surrogacy. I'm back to creating content. I've come up with a new TV show idea, especially that was inspired by the quarantine, that I'm now trying to get out there. So I've actually found myself being super creatively active, and I'm someone that needs that. If I don't have that, I can't function. So, and especially when you're locked up at home with your husband, you need like some outlet, you know?
So, both our husbands are going to be watching this reel, Gauri.
Exactly. So it's just about, like, as a creative person, you just need to find what keeps you, right? And for me, I need that. If I don't have those inspirations, if I don't have something that's keeping me up at night, I can't function. Diving into virtual events or going back into, you know, writing something for cinema. It's finally, you know, I perform online, so I'm part of the Courtyard Playhouse. We do theater shows every week. Actually, last week I won, which was super exciting. But
no way, amazing! We'll push that up on our story. Please remind me. Of course.
But it was so much fun because we're learning how to interact in a creative way that has never been done before.
Correct.
And when we didn't know what a virtual event was.
I agree.
But now that we've done it, nobody knew what it was. We're like, wow, we've grown. And I think
Absolutely. We've evolved. We've evolved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
And
on the back for all of us.
yeah, exactly. We need that. We need that
Yes.
eagerness to want to grow.
Yes.
If you're in a
Yes.
creative field and you
Sure.
don't have that hunger,
True.
I don't know, you need to always be wanting more and more and more.
No one could have answered this better than you, Gauri. I'm
Thank
actually taking a moment to, take it all in myself. And I know so many viewers watching you will say this: more
Thank
power
you.
to you and more glory to
Thank
you.
you.
Because you know what? You deserve it. And you're
Thank
right. It's like, who would have thought I would be doing interviews like this? Just
Yeah,
imagine,
exactly.
And I always say this, most of my interviews I've said it. So it's like we've evolved, and now there's no looking back. This has actually become, I think it's no longer the new normal or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Now it just comes. It
Yes,
just comes. Like
exactly.
I called you and we spoke and we said, okay, we're doing an interview. So
Yeah.
it was understood. It's going to be a virtual interview. But who would have thought? So this is so viewers watching us, look for these avenues, Would you agree, Gauri? There's
100%.
always something in the corner waiting for you. So
Exactly.
dig deeper.
There is always something there. There is an opportunity everywhere. All you have to do is just have the courage to look for it. Just get up and be there. Something will come. It is there. And what I find amazing is that creative energy of people collaborating, I feel now is higher than ever before. Just before the call, yeah, we were talking to an incredible talent based out of the States, and you're like, we've never met, and we have this amazing connection of just getting on a call, meeting with, getting to know each other and realizing we share similar value system, right? So I think
that's how you and I connected. That's how you and I connected. I mean, and that's the home ground of our channel, even, Gauri, if you're following us.
Yes,
I've not met so many coaches and so many gurus, but now they're all on the virtual screen. They're selflessly voicing what they feel about certain subjects. And, we should be so grateful. Viewers, hit lots of likes and comments to this one, please. So our next question. So what are your tips to our viewers here? How can they make a green film? Okay. Your tips to promote sustainability in the whole audiovisual sector.
Firstly, like I said, the mindset. I think collectively, when you work in film, there's a very, very strong collectiveness between your crew, because sometimes, you're spending so much time together. You're away at different locations. You are spending that time away. You're away from your family, your friends. So your crew really does become like your family. And I think when you start and it's your baby that you're creating, it really is the energy you put off, right? That if you're saying, okay, when we're looking at food on set, how are we not wasting that food? What are we doing with that food afterwards? Are we using plastic bottles? Are we not? How are we consciously?
Very valid point. Very valid point.
Once you start, you will realize that if you set that mindset, everybody will feel comfortable in it, because as a producer, as a director, it really is your energy. It is the energy that you're putting off. So I think when you are able to kind of set that mindset in, you're right away able to say that, okay, how do we go into this saying, if I'm shooting in a beautiful forest somewhere, yes, make it a conscious effort. Be the first person to pick up the litter. Everybody will follow. Everybody will do it. That, guys, we're not moving on to the next location till we all clear the space up. And like I said, when it comes to social responsibility, that when you are in an environment where you may be, speaking to people who are in a state of vulnerability. I'd like to share one example with you. When when I was shooting something for my film Gava, I remember there was a gentleman that I met that this was to do with the July 13th serial blast that happened. And he had just lost a member of his office. And I was sitting with him, and this was a documentary, and he wasn't able to really open up. And I just asked my crew to leave us alone for a few minutes. And I shared my story with him and why I was making this film, and that I understand and I can empathize where you're coming from. And for that moment, there was just two human beings. And I've always said this, when there are two human beings in pain, there's a beautiful silent relationship that develops, right? Silent, but it's this beautiful relationship. And it was just in that moment that I made a conscious effort that you as a human being are important to me and to all of us. And we are so, we're honored that you're sharing and having the courage. And it shifted everything. And he even told me afterwards, he was like, I felt so happy that I felt like this was a support system.
Correct.
Right from especially able children. Those children played such a beautiful role in our film. We made a public service film that was picked up by PVR Cinemas and endorsed by the Ministry of Empowerment in India. It was released nationwide on repeat. And it was done with mainstream children from Delhi Public School and Tamanna, which is the NGO that we did the film for. And it was beautiful because it was an empowerment of mainstream children and especially able children working together like they've never done before.
You brought them together on the same ground. Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
I think sustainability, when you say how do we go about it, it really is your mindset. And never ever forget that you have a social responsibility. When you make a film, you have a power to change a mindset. The power of influence is tremendous. It is your job and it is your duty to be responsible towards that. Right? Sure. Understand that be sensitive to the people who are sharing your stories or the actors that are putting themselves out there and saying, okay, is this story a role that may be thought-provoking, but I want to share it. Yes. We have to support one another. And especially now with what's going on in the news and what's been happening in Bollywood, we have to support one another.
So happy you spoke about this. I'm so happy you spoke about this because Gauri, you come from this industry, just you saying that is going to be an act like such a backbone for so many others watching you and I right now.
It's
hats off to you, girl. Thank you for saying that so bold, so loud, and so clear, Okay, shall we move to the next?
Yes.
Sorry? Nice. I'm really enjoying this interview.
Me too.
Okay, so will the Middle Eastern filmmaking go carbon neutral anytime soon, since we are from the Middle East, right? And what's your message for our youth watching and listening to you? Again, I know that my questions did sort of fold out, together, but just bearing Middle East right now for a few minutes. Do you want to answer this one quickly for us?
I think currently, like I said, there's a greater sense of connectivity. People are collaborating like they've never done before. Yes. People, talents from all over, even the Middle East are coming together. Yeah. Hey, let's come together. Why don't we use the best of your skill, the best of my skill? Let's create something. So I think right now there is such, I get goosebumps when I say this because there's such a buzz in the air right now to create. People want to collaborate. And I think that in itself, firstly, is a gift. It is a gift because it's pushing a sense of positive energy, of caring for one another and bringing people together. Yes. At the same time, when we look at how do we go green about it, absolutely. I think, again, it's that conscious effort that, okay, if I'm shooting something in the desert, for example, how have I shot it? Am I just leaving things behind because I didn't realize and I was in a rush and I had to run and get that shot? You don't know, right? From even the aspect of what kit are you using? Yes, we are in a field that is hand in hand with technology. Correct. Technology, it's ever changing. You're always having to learn. You're always having to know.
Yeah, moving on.
Exactly. So there's certain things where, yes, we are kind of bounded to it. But when you look at a city like Dubai in itself, I think the diversity that we have, I've lived here my entire life, more than 30 years. So this is home. And we, for people like us, we've really seen the evolution.
Yeah.
So I do think that diversity has brought an incredible awareness of the environment. And sorry, I didn't mention this, but I come from a family of creatives. So my dad is a landscape photographer. He was one of the first people to set up Arabian Leopard Trust. He's part of many different organizations. He's actually sent his photographs to space inside the International Space Station. There are photos from Dubai, some of them, and there are pictures of flora and fauna, because he said all these people go up there to sacrifice their lives for civilization, but they're not connected to Earth. And 15 years later, his dream came true. So I think what I'm trying to highlight is that when we have the awareness to say, okay, I'm going to make a film. I have amazing talent coming together now. What can I do to make sure that I'm eco-friendly about it? If I'm going to shoot a beautiful culture, maybe in Ras Al Khaimah somewhere, or something that hasn't been exposed, am I being respectful to that culture and to the norms and traditions of how they want me to approach them? Rather than, I want this for my film, so I'm just going to take what I want out of it. Right? Am I taking that film back to them and saying, look here, like, I want to show you your journey on screen. I want to show you what you were able to help us create. So I think when we talk about and remind ourselves that we are just one person in a bigger world, we'll always be respectful. We'll always remain humble.
Absolutely. And I think this is one thing, I'm glad you spoke about this, Gauri, being raised in Middle East. You've seen this as much as I've seen this. You know, we're actually literally learning to rise together. So, you know, even when one-on-one as a channel, we started the whole support for support campaign, what we spoke about. I think for any Emirati child, any Emirati, I include you and I think this just comes natural. You know, it's just, I think it's just embedded in us, if that's even the right way to say it, because again, we've been raised in a multicultural society, and I think we should be ever so grateful for that. You know, we meet so many different kinds of people, and I went to a British school, so I met so many different kinds of people growing up with me. We're still friends. I mean, and it's amazing to see, you know, it's amazing to see where we're collaborating now with PR, we're collaborating with advertisement companies, we're collaborating with you filmmakers. So I think you're right. You know, we're all probably now realizing the only way to move this forward progressively and positively is if we band together.
Exactly. And I think it's that authenticity, right? That's important. That take your mask off, you know, don't be afraid, and you'll surprise yourself that people are there. People are there to support you and say, you know what, and anyone can reach out to me. So I've always been a huge advocate of giving back to my community right from the start of my career. You know, I spent a lot of time in universities just sharing my story that it may inspire others. Everybody needs somebody to, you know, to kind of tell them, give them a pat on the back. I had so many people support me in my journey. And still do. I still have people saying, you know, go for it. Like, we're there supporting you. So any one of your viewers can, you know, just reach out at any point. Even if they have a question, how do I make a film? I feel filmmaking is so vast that sometimes you may have all the passion in the world, but maybe you're so overwhelmed and intimidated. Like, where do I start? Not everybody goes to film school. Not everybody has to work on film sets. That doesn't mean you don't have talent. That doesn't mean that you can't create amazing work. You can.
Absolutely. Gauri, what we'll do is, even when we flash our interview, we're going to push out your story, and we're also going to push out your handle. So I definitely want my viewers to go out to you, even if you're just a content creator, for that matter.
Sure, exactly.
Be a director or a producer, or, you know, even if you are a content creator. I know so many content creators who are working with me. So guys, just go on to Gauri Chadha's handle and please talk to her. You know, this is the idea behind our interview, just so our viewers get it clear. We want you to know there are avenues where you can reach out. So just go and hit that follow button and reach out and DM her, please. So our next question, Gauri. Have you ever had a go on making an environmentally themed documentary, exclusively environmentally themed? Or is it now coming? Do we have
to? I still haven't done that yet, but there was one documentary that my dad and I were planning on doing a few, not too long ago. This was the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, and we wanted to make a documentary about snow leopards. Snow leopards are one of the hardest animals to shoot. They are the hardest animals to shoot. I love the animal kingdom. I love shooting nature. I love animals. I love that whole natural life that exists. For me, it's just so wondrous. I always pinch myself and always wonder, how did God create such a magnificent universe for us? How I always feel that. So I haven't done it yet. I definitely will say I'm very socially environmental. Like, I'm very much.
I know you now as a person. I know whatever you're saying is very authentic, and I know that you really mean it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I really.
you know, I may be that one influence to tell you, go for it, girl.
Thank you. But no, I have definitely always been thinking something about the environment. I guess because I always grew up with such a large influence in my
Right.
own home of
Yeah.
why the environment is
Yeah.
important. I spent my entire childhood traveling
Yeah.
with my dad around the world, holding
Mm,
his tripod, whether I'm
mm,
in National Arches Park or I'm anywhere around the world, you
mm.
know, at 6 in the morning getting dragged up. And I'm like, Dad, I don't want to do this. I thought this was a
Right.
holiday. And he's like, this is not a holiday. I'm teaching you. Get up and hold the tripod. So
Mm,
I think
mm,
I've
mm,
grown up with those influences very much. I studied in Scotland. I studied in Switzerland. So I grew up in, I mean, I had the luxury and I was very fortunate to be able to grow up
yeah.
in
Yeah.
environments that were never, were very nature driven. You know,
Yes.
whether I used to have to hike 5 times a month and lots of exterior
I
experiences, whether it's
agree.
sailing
I
or
agree.
whatever. So
Yeah.
I would love to bring that into my world of filmmaking because I think it's so magical.
It is. It is. I love how you said it's so magical and it's so true. Yeah. It's so enchanting.
Yes, it is. It really is. And you know, one thing, for example, even in this region, like
Hmm.
it just the desert till date amazes me so much. And when I think of how this color of the sand is so
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
all the 7 Emirates,
Hmm.
it's wondrous, right? To think that,
Right.
wow, like
Right. Right.
how are these particles
Right.
different?
Right, right, right. And even between 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., if you know what I mean. That
Yes,
time is so
yes,
mystical when you're in the desert, when you're
exactly,
sleeping under the stars. I think
exactly.
we are really, really very lucky. We should be grateful.
Yeah,
We're able to do that at just, a snap
exactly.
of a finger. And I know many of us now would never take that for granted, ever
Yeah,
again. After this.
definitely. Yeah.
After
I've
this.
actually shot a film in the desert, and it was about a character lost in the desert. And when you work within nature, there's a lot that nature gives you. So you can have your script, you can have everything, but everything is,
Mm,
processed and it's
mm,
all laid out. But when you're
mm,
actually standing there at that location and you are rolling, there is a magic that comes in.
mm,
It is
mm,
beautiful. Nature teaches you a lot. My dad's always told me my whole life, if you
mm.
don't have the answer for something in life, just go to nature. She will always teach you.
Oh,
So
oh.
I really, it's a huge part. So I
Couldn't
think
get
I
better. It couldn't get
definitely,
better than this, Gauri, what you just said and what you just shared. And a big
yeah.
shout out to your dad for this. It couldn't get
Thank
better,
you. Yeah,
really,
really.
really. Okay, so our finale question, Gauri. What are some of the biggest mistakes you want to warn our viewers watching you not to make whilst their journey in filmmaking? This is very important and it's actually come in good time. Would you agree?
Yes.
We didn't time this interview, but
No.
after yesterday, I think this is in perfect timing.
Yes.
So take it away, Gauri. Tell them everything that they should know from you.
Number one, don't doubt yourself. You
Hmm.
are enough. That is the number one
Hmm.
mistake I see people
Hmm.
make. You
Hmm.
are enough. Yes, we all have self-doubt. We all have moments where we're like, wait, will it work? Will it not work? That
Right.
is the discovery of it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
believe in yourself, believe
Hmm.
in your
Hmm.
story. If you
Hmm.
have a story to tell,
Hmm.
stand by that story. It's
Hmm.
real. There is a
Hmm.
reason why there
Hmm.
is something within you that has made you sit there and want to chase the story. My production house is called Chasing Frames because that is what I love to do my entire life. You
Hmm.
know, everything is about chasing that story. Even in events, I'm chasing and chasing that story. I'm building these characters. I'm writing the worlds of these experiences that we built.
Oh. Hmm.
Believe in yourself.
Hmm.
Everything else will follow.
Hmm.
Everything. There is no right and there is no wrong. Yes, there are
Hmm.
fundamentals of
Hmm.
filmmaking,
Hmm.
definitely, but you
Hmm.
need to know the rules in order to know how to break them.
Hmm.
Now is the
Right.
time for you where you have so much access to technology. You have
Hmm.
your phone right here that you could even start rolling on, right? You're
Hmm.
not bounded by the fact that, oh, it has to be this way.
Hmm.
Be
Hmm.
innovative. If there's anything we've learned in this period, it is to me, it's taught
Hmm.
me how limitless we are as a
Hmm.
community, as a global
Correct.
civilization.
Correct.
Use that to your advantage. Don't
Hmm.
doubt yourself. You are already enough. You have it. And
Hmm.
start. Just
Hmm.
start it. Start
Hmm.
writing. You want to write a story? Just start writing. You don't know what you're doing? Email it to me. I'll have a look. I'll give you my advice. But just start because unless you start, nothing is going to happen. What is
Right.
the worst that can happen? You're going to fail. I have failed so many times. I mean,
We all have.
nobody has, right, exactly.
We all have, but that's the beauty of it. Every
Exactly.
time we fail, we learn something new
Right.
out of it. We
Exactly.
grow, we
So
evolve.
just to share in this virtual event that we, Rags?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm here. I can see you and you're audible. Oops. Oops. Can you hear me, Gauri? Can you hear me, Gauri? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?